This episode of Against the Odds is brought to you by Card Kingdom. To pick up the deck and support the show, follow the link in the description box down below. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another edition of Against the Odds. So last week, on our Against the Odds poll, there was no cheating, everything worked perfectly, and in the end, it was Impromptu Raid for Modern, sneaking out a tight victory over Hand of the Creators. So today, we are heading to Modern to play a deck I'm calling Impromptu Temur. Basically, kind of a modern version of Sneak Attack, trying to cheat massive Eldrazi into play, annihilate our opponent's board with the help of Impromptu Raid. So a quick reminder before we break down the deck. If you enjoyed the video, and you haven't already, it would be so cool of you if you could take a second, click that subscribe button down at the bottom of your screen. It's a great way to support the channel and the site for free. So let's talk Impromptu Temur, starting with our namesake card, Impromptu Raid. So Impromptu Raid, along with some super good flavor text, is basically a fixed version of Sneak Attack. 4 mana, can be red or green, and then instead of being able to pay a red and put a creature from your hand into play with haste, etc., like Sneak Attack, you pay 2 and a hybrid red or green, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature on the battlefield with haste, gets to attack, goes away at the end of turn. If it's not a creature, it just harmlessly goes into your graveyard. So the idea of this deck is to basically use Impromptu Raid like a Sneak Attack to cheat some really big things into play. To go along with Impromptu Raid, we have Through the Breach, which is kind of the best friend of Impromptu Raid. So Impromptu Raid doesn't let us put cards from our hand into play. So if we draw our big things, Impromptu Raid doesn't really help us too much there. On the other hand, Through the Breach allows us to put a big thing from our hand into play, so they work really well together and gives us some redundancy. So we have 8 things to cheat big creatures into play. As far as what we're cheating into play, here the answer is Annihilators. All Eldrazi, 4 Emrakul the Eon's Torn, 2 Ulamogs, 2 Kozileks, the whole cycle of original Eldrazi Titans. And the big deal here is, even if these cards don't straight up kill our opponent, which they won't always, 15 damage, 10 damage, 12 damage, that's not enough, we get a ton of value because our opponent has to sack a bunch of permanents to Annihilator, and ideally we're going to be doing this pretty quickly. Like, maybe if we're lucky, turn 3 is when we can win the game with our Impromptu Raid. Turn 4 at the worst. So even Annihilator 4 from Kozilek or Ulamog gonna put our opponent down to very few permanents in most matchups. So this is the plan of the deck. Impromptu Raid, or if we happen to draw our Eldrazi, Through the Breach to cheat him into play. The thing with Impromptu Raid is you can't really just play it and pay a bunch of mana and hope that we have an Eldrazi on top of our deck. I mean, we will do that if we're desperate and we don't have a way to set it up. But kind of part 2 to making Impromptu Raid work is cards that allow us to control the top of our deck. So the 2 big ones here are Nissa, Steward of Elements, and Jace the Mind Sculptor. So Nissa comes down as early as turn 2 with our mana dorks and lets us scry to find Impromptu Raid, to find our Eldrazi, and then and make sure that we have an Eldrazi on top of our deck. When we activate Impromptu Raid, we just scry Emrakul or Kozilek or whatever to the top of the deck, put it into play, win the game. We can also just tick up a bunch and kill our opponent with the elementals. Not impossible. Jace, on the other hand, is super sweet because it allows us to get Eldrazi from our hand back on top of our deck. So if we draw our Emrakul, we can use it to put it back and then Impromptu Raid it into play while also just digging through our deck, offering a ton of value, backup win condition. Finally, we also have Courser of Krufix, which doesn't exactly control the top of our deck, but it gains us some life. It's a good blocker, comes down on turn 2 with our mana dorks, and it does kind of let us filter the top of our deck in conjunction with fetch lands. With fetch lands and Courser, we can just look at the top of our deck. If it's an Eldrazi, awesome, we Impromptu Raid it. If not, we can shuffle with a fetch land, get a new look. So it is a way we can sort of dig through our deck to find our Eldrazi. Otherwise, the last piece of the deck, fast mana, Birds of Paradise Noble Hierarch, get us to our Nissas and Coursers on turn number 2, and then you throw Simian Spirit Guide in the mix, and we can be casting Through the Breaches and Impromptu Raids really quickly, like turn 2, turn 3, hopefully just killing our opponent. So just speeds up the deck significantly. Mana base, bunch of fetch lands to work with Courser and Jace and Nissa, a bunch of shock lands, some fast lands, some basic lands, and the sideboard, Spell Pierce Negate to protect our combo pieces. Surgical, Ooze, Relic for graveyards. Ooze also gains us some life against aggro. Ancient Grudge, Fracturing Gust for artifacts and enchantments. Damping Sphere to shut down combo decks Tron decks, etc., Amulet Titan decks. Anger the Gods is a sweeper against aggro, also exile stuff against dredge, and that is Impromptu Temur for Modern. And that's our Against the Odds deck for this week. So, is Impromptu Raid, the modern version, a sneak attack? That's what we're going to find out. How consistent is it? How good is it? I like that we get to play a lot of good cards. Nissa, Jace are cards that I already like in Modern, so it's not like we got to play a bunch of bad cards to set up the top of our deck with Impromptu Raid, and Birds of Paradise, Noble Hierarch, Simian Spirit Guide, the Fast Man is good, so we get to play a lot of good cards. Let's see how consistent it is. Hopefully, we get some crazy fast blowouts with Impromptu Raid, putting massive Eldrazi into play. So anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. Let's get to the gameplay, see how it works. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back in a bit with a wrap-up. All right, Against the Odds time. We are playing some Impromptu Temur, and that sound looks fine. We don't have Impromptu Raid. We do have some ways to kind of set up our deck, though. Sanctum and Birds of Paradise. Pass the turn. Arid Mesa for our opponent. Cracks it. Stomping Grounds. Untapped. And Goblin Guide. Yup. Opponent gets in. Alright, we get a land out of the deal. Well, down to 18. Let's Copperline Gorge and let's just Courser of Crewfix. Kozilek on top. Alright. Pass the turn. Windswept Heath for our opponent. Courser should be pretty good in this matchup. Opponent cracks. Temple Garden. Untapped. Nam Nam. And Nam Nam. Alright, that's a lot of Nam Nams. Opponent passes. Misty Rainforest. I'll play Misty. Through the Breach on top. Nissa. X1. Scry. Put on top, put on top. Well, we're set up to Through the Breach next turn. Even if our opponent manages to kill our birds, because I guess if they can kill birds and kill Nissa, it gets bad. Opponent. Combat. Face. Face. Yep. Alright. Well, we'll take it. Down to 15. Burning Tree. Mana. Coddle. And Curd Ape. Well, this Through the Breach should still be pretty good. Play the island. Gain a life. Zero Nissa. Put the forest into play. Gain a life. Crack Misty. Grab a forest. Gain a life. And, Emrakul time? I think? Emrakul, Hasty, Through the Breach, attack, and see you later, Zoo. I mean, even discounting the Annihilation, that's, lethal damage, since their opponent kept shocking themselves. Alright, that went pretty good. So, against, Zoo, 3 Anger the Gods in, and probably Scavenging Ooze in, go down a Jace, go down 1 Simian Spirit Guide, 1 Noble Hierarch, and maybe 1 Kozilek, go 7 Eldrazi. Alright, run it like that. Well, not an Impromptu Raid win, but a win nonetheless. Oh boy. This is the Eldrazi hand. Well, we're going to keep this because Anger is probably our best card in this matchup. Arid Mesa. Opponent cracks it. Courser is also good. Stomping Grounds. Untapped. And Coddle. Well, Copperline Gorge and the Noblest of Hierarchs. Opponent. Wooded Foothills. Cracks it. If Coddle dies, we're a little light on lands. Opponent. Combat. Attacks. Yeah. Down to 17. Nam Nam. And Nam Nam. Well, alright. Wooded Foothills. Crack it. Grab a 4. Ooh. Oh boy. Grab a mountain. Actually, you know what? Let's shock ourselves. Grab a Steam Vents. And yeah, I think we have to just Anger. Pass the turn. Hope that we continue to draw lands. Mountain. Opponent, 2 cards in hand. What do they got? Burning Tree. And Coddle. Alright, well, that's what our opponent's got. Land for this Courser is our best draw. Well, Scalding Tarn. Crack it. Oh, we are shocking ourselves a lot. Take a Breeding Pool. Untapped. Courser. Pass the turn. Opponent. Dryad Arbor. And passes. Land on top. Hierarch. Well, play a Courser. Pass the turn. Pretty up a good wall of defense with these Coursers. Opponent. Combat. Passes. Top of our deck. Land. Birds. Well, play Noble Hierarch. Play Birds of Paradise. Pass the turn. We're not doing that good at drawing lands, but We're stabilizing. And technically, if our stuff lives, we just Emrakul next turn and win. Wooded Foothills. Opponent. Passes. Well, there's a land finally. Gain some life. And alright. Yeah, I mean, this should do it. Well, no impromptu raiding, but it worked. Breach, Emrakul, combat, attack. And, yeah. That was easy. That was... I mean, we didn't get to use our namesake card, but we did kind of just crush Zoo there. So, sweet. Sweet. All right. Get the odds time. We are playing some impromptu Temur in Modern, and all right. This hand's a little odd, but we'll keep it. In theory, we have a turn 2 Nissa. We can't turn 1 because the mana situation, but Simian Spirit Guide Nissa on turn 2 isn't bad. All right, we're getting burnt. There's a Breach. Well, Scalding Tarn, go. I mean, Breach actually changes things. This means, in theory, we can just draw a huge threat and win that way. Rift Bolt, coming down. 17, opponent. Sacred Foundry, untapped. And Goblin Guide. Well, this gets us a free peek. Opponent, combat, attacks. Top card is an Emrakul. All right. Well, I guess we want to draw Emrakul. Skewer, down to 12. Do we live long enough to annihilate? Play a forest. Yeah, I mean, we're just on the Emrakul plan. Hopefully we remain alive. Opponent. The other problem is Emrakul technically puts us just short of winning. Opponent. Tapping, untapping. Combat. Gets in. Top card. Emrakul. Hits us. Down to 10. Well, crack Scalding Tarn. Down to 9. I guess Triple Bolt would kill us. Boros Charm, down to 5. Alright, so take a Steam Fence. Tapped. Untap. Island. Spirit Guide. Breach. Emrakul. Combat. Annihilate. Hit our opponent. Can we find the last 2 points of damage before our opponent burns us out? Found it. 2 cards in hand. Untaps Wooded Foothills and passes. Play Wooded Foothills. Yeah, I mean, I guess if we get Boros Charmed, we get Boros Charmed. Crack Wooded Foothills. Take a forest. Noble Hierarch. Nissa. Scry with Nissa. Bottom both. Pass the turn. All right. Well, what do you got, opponent? They got to go to 1 to crack. No crack. Opponent. Down to 1. Okay. Mountain. Swift Spear. Opponent. No attacks. Now, Scry with Nissa. Bottom. Copperline Gorge. Pass the turn. Oh, no. We can't get him past his Swift Spear. Pass the turn. Opponent taps. Lightning Bolts. Wow. We might Emrakul and still lose. Opponent hits us to 2. We draw a land. Well, 0 Nissa, that's all we can do. Alright. I believe that's game. Wow. We managed to Emrakul, but it wasn't enough. Tap land. All opponent needs is a spell. Any spell. Gets in. Down to 2. Or down to 1. And opponent had it. Wow. Well, sometimes Emrakul's not enough. Bring in Scavenging Ooze. Bring in Spell Pierce. Go down 1 Kozilek. Go down 1 Jace. Run it like that. Whew. That's a brutal one. We had turn 3 Hasty Emrakul, and our opponent was able to recover. We just did not... Those Nissa Scries were really bad. We had Eldrazi, land. When we needed a Courser, a Jace, an Impromptu Raid, some sort of action. But we had a lot of solid unaction on the top of our deck, unfortunately. Alright, we get to play first. Well, alright. Turn 2 Nissa is something, if our bird lives. Botanical Sanctum, Bird's Paradise. Pass the turn. Inspiring Vantage, and Goblin Guide. Yup. Opponent gonna get in. Top card is Courser of Crewfix. Well, new plan. Misty Rainforest, crack it. Grab a island. Courser. Pass the turn. Opponent. Inspiring Vantage. Combat. Attacks. Yeah, we're gonna say no to blocking this turn. Down to 15. And Skewers Courser. Okay. Well, Courser took a lot of damage for us. Opponent passes. Play Scalding Tarn. Crack Scalding Tarn. Grab a mountain. Nissa. X1. Scry with Nissa. Huh. Bottom. Noble Hierarch. Pass the turn. Well, since we have Breach, we basically need something big. Stomping Grounds. Tapped. Helix is our Nissa. Well, we got another one, so that's fine. Opponent. Attacks. What do we got on top? Kozilek. Kozilek is good enough. Good enough here. Opponent. Passes. Well, now we threw the Breach. Put our opponent to 0 permanence. Go to combat. Attack. Hit our opponent for 13. Sweep their board. This still isn't a guaranteed win. Opponent goes to 10. This definitely slows our opponent down. Shuffles everything back in. Opponent. Mountain. And passes. Well, let's play the biggest Nissa possible. Scry with Nissa. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put on top, put on top. So there's our Impromptu Raid. That's not bad. Opponent, untaps. Bloodstained Mire. Cracks it. Sacred Foundry. We probably should have put the land at the bottom, actually. Down to 7. We might be trying to win by ultimating Nissa. Opponent, passes. Yeah, we should have put the land at the bottom. Scry 2. Oh. Put on top, put on top. Impromptu Raid. Pass the turn. Alright, opponent, can you kill us this turn from 12? Seems unlikely. Wooded Foothills. Cracks it. Mountain. And passes. Well, alright. Impromptu Raid. Emrakul. Combat. Attack. And that does it. Alright, we got there. The raid came through. That's how we beat Burn. Well, run it back. Impromptu Raid can be pretty good. Alright, one more to go against Burn. Oh, all right. Lots of action, but no lands. And we're on the draw. All right, we're going to mulligan. Oh, dear. Okay, mulligan. Well, it is what it is. Keep the land on top. Not an ideal situation. Inspiring Vantage. Goblin Guide? Swift Spear. That's worse. Ugh. Well, it's about time the magic gods had their way with us. Gets in with Swift Spear. Down to 19. Passes. Well, Misty. Crack it. Take a forest. Play Bird's Paradise. Pass the turn. Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. Opponent. Untaps. Bloodstained Mire. Cracks it. Stomping Grounds. Untapped. Cinder Vines. Interesting. Well, opponent's fighting Impromptu Raid. Opponent. Gets it. Yeah. Down to 16. We untap. Kozilek. Well, Steam Vents, untapped. Nissa, down to 13 from Cinder Vines. Scry 2. Bottom. Pass the turn. Not looking good, boys and girls. 5 cards is not many. Opponent also has Cinder Vines. And we'll see. This makes Impromptu Raid a lot harder to pull off. Opponent. Swift Spear. Ugh. Lightning Bolt's Nissa. Down to 9. Ugh. I don't know how we save ourselves from this. Opponent passes. Breach. Yeah. Pass the turn. Oh, those mulligans. 0 land into our single mountain, and there's just not a lot we can do about that. Pass the turn. Opponent. Boros Charm. Yeah. No winning from there. Well, I mean, that's Magic. Sometimes you just mull to 5 because you can't draw lands. Oddly, with the mulligan rule change coming up, it's kind of funny. Alright, never mind. Next. Alright. Against the odds time, we are looking to rate it up in Modern, and we're keeping this. We really would love to have a Mana Dork here, but despite the slow start, this hand has potential. As long as we get a land, Nissa gets us more lands, and then we have Impromptu Raid and Breach Ulamog. And Courser to set things up, so this hand could work out, as long as we draw one more land. That's the qualification. Boat it. Thinking. Ooh, Gemstone Mine. Alright, hopefully it works out quickly. That is the least good draw in our deck. Ulamog Part 2. Boat it. So we're probably getting Amulet Tightened. Come on, land. Forest. Land? Oh, no. Okay. Ugh. Well, 11 drop, 15 drop when we need lands is... yeah. Not ideal? Let's go with not ideal. Pass the turn. Bone it. Untaps. Still thinking this is Amulet Titan. Forest. Actually, I don't know what this is. Okay. Just a weird draw from Amulet Titan. Forest. Do they have a bounce land? Gemstone Mine. There's a bounce land. Ugh. Yeah, now this is probably too slow. Picks up Gemstone Mine. And passes. We draw Scalding Tarn. Well, play Scalding Tarn. Crack Misty. Get an island. Crack Scalding Tarn. Grab a Breeding Pool. Untapped. And playing Nissa. X1. Scry. Well, Nissa bottom, land top. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Well, let's see if they can kill us. Or play a Titan. Opponent. Gemstone Mine. 6 mana. That is primetime mana if they got it. Coalition Relic. Okay. No Titan yet. And Azusa. More land drops. Opponent passing. Oh boy. We draw land. This is so interesting. If we zero Nissa and hit a land, we can just breach. Oh, I think we're going for it. Nissa. Alright, well, put birds into play. Play Wooded Foothills. Crack Wooded Foothills. Grab a forest. And, yeah, let's Impromptu Raid. And see what happens. Can you kill us, opponent? It seems like if they had the Titan, they would have killed us last turn, or at least Titan last turn. So maybe they're just hoping to top deck? That would be nice. Opponent. No Titan. No Titan. Relic. Free mana. Come on. Come on. No Titans. Adds blue. Okay. So our opponent is going to get a Titan. But without Amulet, they can't kill us. Summoner's Pact. Summoner's Pact cast. Do we win? Gets the Titan. Plays the Titan. Yep. Gets a couple lands. I guess Pact of Negation ruins through the breach here. Bounce lands. Yeah. Picks it up. Replays it. Opponent. Passes. Alright. Simian Spirit Guide. Well, scry with Nissa. Interesting. 1, 2, 3... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, this is very interesting. So we have two options. We can through the breach. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We can through the breach, and then we basically win if it resolves. The other option is Impromptu Raid Kozilek, which is not as good as Through the Breaching Emrakul, and also play a Courser, play the land, and that plays around Pact of Negation. I think we just have to Emrakul and save Kozilek for next turn. So put on top. Yeah, we gotta go for it. Through the Breach, Emrakul, Emrakul attack you, annihilate you. An opponent still has to pay 4 for this pack. So if they sack too many lands, that is an issue. Opponent killed themselves. Okay, well that works. Yes, Emrakul goes away. Do you have double green opponent? I believe you do not. Packed him. We packed him. Packed it in. Oh, thank goodness. Opponent could have sacked it a different way to not die, but tried to keep that. I think maybe they forgot about their pact and they tried to keep that Slayer Stronghold. Well, Damping Sphere's in. And then I guess maybe Ancient Grudge to fight against Amulet. The deck is a lot less explosive without Amulet. And Damping Sphere shuts down the bounce lands very well. So go down a Noble Hierarch. Go down a Noble Hierarch. Go down a Kozilek. Go down 1 Jace, 1 Spirit Guide, 1 Through the Breach. And run it like that. Seems like a plan. Whew. Killing someone with their own pack trigger. One of the best ways to do it. Well, okay. No Damping Sphere, but we have turn 1 Hierarch, turn 2 Nissa. See how devastating our opponent's draw is. Tap land. Opponent, passing. Well, Stomping Grounds, untapped. The noblest of Hierarchs. Pass the turn. Opponent. Well, there's Amulet. That's a scary one. Well, come on, Ancient Grudge. This turn, please. Or Damping Sphere. Either one would do. Opponent untaps. Taps. Picks up the land. And scout. Alright. Opponent's pretty well set up. Let's see if we can draw anything. Opponent passes. Land. Well, play an island. Nissa. Scry. Ooh. Interesting. Put on top. Put on top. Ugh, there's the Grudge, but it might be a turn too late. If our opponent can Titan this turn, it's too late. We're like 2 turns away from winning. We could just Impromptu Raid, keep floating that Emrakul with Nissa, and win that way. But we might not live that long. Opponent, floats mana. Bounce land. Untaps. Floats mana. Picks it up. Land. Untaps. Well, this looks like a Titan. Turn 3 is pretty quick. Untaps. Taps. We found the Grudge, we just found it too late. Titan. Yeah. Alright. And yeah, we'll scoop it up. We can't really win from here. Well, opponent had the fast draw. We found our stuff, but just a tiny bit too late. I think on the play, we're going to bring in 1 Spell Pierce and run it like that. Spell Pierce is another way to stop Amulet on the play. Hopefully we draw a sideboard card. That's what we really need in this matchup. All right, we are on the play. Yeah, I think we got a mulligan that. This hand doesn't really do anything. We're just hoping to draw through the breach. Ugh. Damping Sphere, 3 Eldrazi, 1 land. Ugh, is there any way this wins? Damping Sphere is good if it sticks. Alright, land. Alright, there's a land. Well, that's it. Sanctum go. We're on the Damping Sphere, and then just hope that the top of our deck is friendly. Forest. Amulet. Opponent passing. Wooded Foothills. Crack it. Take a Steam Vents. Untapped. And Damping Sphere. Pass the turn. We're still a long way away from really doing anything, though. Oh boy, more amulets. Well, thankfully this is a lot less effective when you're adding a colorless mana with your Sanctuary. Picks up a forest. And passes. We draw Nissa. Nissa's actually really good if we get another land. Opponent. Forest. Sakura Tribe Scout. Come on, mana. Mana, mana, mana. We need a land. Alright, there's a land. Play Nissa. X1. Scry with Nissa. Raid. Gotta go bottom for now. Misty to the top. Pass the turn. We're kind of piecing it together, depending on what our opponent can do here. Opponent. Untaps. Cavern. On human. Interesting. Trinket Mage. Tutors up. Another amulet. Oh, this is a big turn. Opponent passes. We draw land. Oh. Do we go for the win? Or do we try to set up for next turn? So if we 0 and hit a land, we should win with Through the Breach. If we 0 and miss... So scrying with Nissa almost guarantees Through the Breach next turn. Our opponent does have triple Amulet, though. Yeah, we're going for it. 0. Land, please. Alright. Courser. Scalding Tarn. Pass the turn. Alright. Well, let's see what you got, opponent. Untaps. Amulet Part 3. Bounce land. So I think 3 amulets is going to let our opponent win through this Damping Sphere. Tons of colorless mana. Wow. Unless our opponent just misplayed. They do need a green source. Because Primeval Titan is not a human. I think our opponent need to float green with the forest, pick it up, replay it. So maybe Damping Sphere is actually going to be enough? Whoa. Okay, opponent. Passing. I guess we'll keep Ancient Grudge. Crack Scalding Tarn. Grab a mountain. Gain a life. Foothills on top. Foothills. Gain a life. Let's see if our opponent has an answer. Crack Foothills. Get a forest. Back to Nissa on top. Breach. Emrakul. Combat. Attack. Oh! Annihilate, and I think we got there. We drew our sideboard card, and I think we got there. Wow. I think our opponent misplayed. The way that played out last turn, it felt like our opponent misplayed with that forest. Opponent. Sacking them all. I mean, they're not technically dead. They go to 3. I guess we scry with Nissa, even though it doesn't do anything. Because Emrakul is going to shuffle. Shuffles a land to the top, alright. Opponent. And I think we got him. I think we got a little lucky to get him, but I think we did get him. Opponent scoops it up. Whoo! Taking out Titan, and this deck is actually pretty decent. Surprisingly decent. Alright. Sway. Impromptu Temur. Not bad at all. Got him. Alright. Against the odds time, we are playing some Impromptu Temur in Modern. And okay. This is actually pretty decent. Birds of Paradise into Impromptu Raid into Jace to set it up. Misty Rainforest, crack it. Take a forest and Birds of Paradise. Think our best draw is Simian Spirit Guide to play Raid next turn, or Jace. Plains for our opponent. Yeah, alright. Well, boo to Tide Hollow Sculler, the enemy of fun. Takes Impromptu Raid. Okay, passes. Play Birds of Paradise. Play Stomping Grounds. Pass the turn. Satyr Wayfinder for our opponent. Gets a forest. And Satyr Wayfinder. Graveyard being stocked. Mills a bunch of stuff, gets a land. Opponent. We could just draw Through the Breach. That would be sweet. Opponent passes. Nissa. Little worried of dying to Rally the Ancestors, but I don't know if we can avoid that. I think we just play a mountain. Nissa. X3. Scry. Bottom. Neither of those cards really help. Pass the turn. I'll see what our opponent has. If they can get back their graveyard, it is bad news. Catacombs cracks it. Schwamp, Stitcher's Supplier. Mills some stuff. Scavenging Ooze. Alright, opponent's going wide, but this doesn't technically just kill us. This is giving us time to find something. Opponent's all at our face. Interesting. Down to 13. Another Emrakul. Well, scry with Nissa. Bottom. Scalding Tarn. Crack it. Grab an island. Jace. Brainstorm with Jace. Put back 2 Emrakuls. Play Noble Hierarch. Pass the turn. Wow, this is going to be super close. Opponent. Combat. Big attack. All at our face. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright. Chumpanews. Eats a Hierarch. Down to 4. Voice of Resurgence. I think we got it. So we Jace. Bounce the birds. We through the breach. Emrakul. Ultimate Nissa. Combat. Attack with everything. And, I mean, that should do it. Whoo! Opponent went wide, but they're no match for Emrakul coming through. Well, alright. Scavenging Ooze in. Anger of the Gods definitely in. Relic of Progenitus maybe in. Go down 1 Kozilek. Go down 1 Through the Breach. Go down 1 Jace. Go down a Noble Hierarch, a Simian Spirit Guide, a Noble Hierarch. Alright, run it like that. Well, that worked pretty well. Ooh, we have an Impromptu Raid. And a Relic, which is nice. Blooming Marsh. Stitcher's Supplier. Opponent mills some stuff. Well, let's just Island Relic. Exile. Pass the turn. Opponent. Zulaport Cutthroat. Yup. Yeah, it's in. Untap. Well, there's an Anger. Well, exile. Play Misty. Pass the turn. I think we can wait one more turn to Anger the Gods. We could have done it with Simian Spirit Guide there, but opponent cracks. Could get punished if they had Tide Hollow Sculler. Godless Shrine untapped. Zulaport Cutthroat. And Viscera Seer. Okay. Now, Misty Rainforest, get a Stomping Grounds. Tapped. Take our beats. Down to 16. Wooded Foothills, crack it. Take a Mountain. Anger the Gods. Moto. There we go. Opponent gonna do some scrying and sacking. Yup. Mills themselves. The good news is we have this Relic if our opponent can try to reanimate. Down to 11. Yup. Scry, 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 scry. Bottom, bottom, top, and top. Alright. Well, pass the turn. See what our opponent found. Land. Well, alright. Simian Spirit Guide. Relic. Okay. Let's Nissa. X1. Scry. Put on top. Put on top. Steam Vents. Tapped. Pass the turn. Opponent. Draws a card. A Turtle Witness. Just running it out. Sure. Well, 0 Nissa. Put a land into play. Play Noble Hierarch. Wooded Foothills. Crack Wooded Foothills. Get a Forest. Impromptu Raid. And pass the turn, and... Alright. This is it. Temple Garden tapped. Opponent. Gets in. Hits us to 7. Alright. Come on, Impromptu Raid. Turtle Witness. Sure. Untap. Stomping Grounds. Well, Scry with Nissa. Ugh. Bottom. Impromptu Raid. See what we hit. Nissa. Impromptu Raid. Play Stomping Grounds tapped. Pass the turn. Alright. We whiffed. Land for our opponent. Hits us. Down to 3. Untap. Impromptu Raid. Scry with Nissa. Bottom. Impromptu Raid. Come on. Noble Hierarch. A Crack Scalding Tarn. Breeding Pool. Tapped. Ulamog. Alright. Ulamog is an actual card. Impromptu Raid. Wooded Foothills. Through the Breach on top. Go to combat. Attack. Annihilate. I guess we're dead to a removal spell on Noble Hierarch. We do need to chump with Noble Hierarch. Opponent to 10. Ulamog sacrificed. Shuffles. Scalding Tarn on top. Crack Wooded Foothills. Get a Forest. Through the Breach back on top. Alright, what do you draw, opponent? Not a path. Zulaport Cutthroat. That doesn't work. Oh, it does if they hit. Wow. This is a weird scenario. Okay. I think this works. Hitting Nissa so it can't ultimate. So we have to block... Oh, they're both hitting Nissa? Okay. Well, Nissa takes a bunch. Man, this is exactly going to work. Opponent passes. Scry with Nissa. Bottom. Well, I guess we got to breach it. Through the Breach. Emrakul. Combat. Attack. We go to 1 from Cutthroat triggers. Oh, I wanted to win with Impromptu Raid, but this will have to do. Opponent stacks everything. We go to exactly 1. The funny thing is, if our opponent... Wow. I guess they had to attack Nissa or they lose to the ultimate. And that is Impromptu Raid. I mean, we didn't win with Impromptu Raid this game, although we tried. But we got the win, and that was pretty good. That was pretty good. All right, rate them. Sweet. All right. Against the odds time, we are playing some Impromptu Raid in Modern, and we'll see. We'll see. We have potentially a quick through the breach. We'll see what we draw. Simian Spirit Guide is not bad. All right, Noble Hierarch, go. So we actually have turn 3 through the breach, potentially. I guess it's not game ending. We don't have Emrakul. Opponent. If it's Spirits, they probably have a lot of counters, and it's probably Spirits. Yeah, looks like Spirits. Noble Hierarch. Well, opponent. Passing. We draw. Well, alright. Birds of Paradise. Scalding Tarn. And pass the turn. Alright, I mean, we'll see where our opponent's at. Vials in. Mausoleum Wanderer. That does slow us down a bit. Cracks Flooded Strand. Hallowed Fountain. Tapped. Opponent. Vial. Taken up. Moorland Haunt. Drog Skull Captain. Yeah, that's not great. Alright. Hello, opponent. We accidentally exiled the Simian Spirit Guide, so our opponent knows we have Simian Spirit Guides. Oops. Gets in. Well, Crack Scalding Tarn. Grab a Breeding Pool. Yeah, this Mausoleum Wanderer is an issue. Opponent gets in for a bunch. Passes. Well, let's play Courser. Play a Mountain. Pass the turn. Vials in. Selfless Spirit. It's a lot of flying damage. Vial taken up. Yeah, I think we're in trouble here. This Mausoleum Wanderer is all kinds of issues. I wish we had drawn Impromptu Raid, which doesn't get hit by Wanderer. Opponent gets in for a bunch. Yeah. Down to 7. Island. Opponent passes. Top of our deck. Jace. Well. Alright, yeah. Scoop it up. Mausoleum Wanderer, too good. Too good. So against Spirits, we get 3 Anger of the Gods primarily. Go down. 1 Noble Hierarch, 1 Kozilek, 1 Jace. Run it like that. Yeah, we really wanted Impromptu Raid there. Impromptu Raid would have been so much better than Through the Breach to get around those counters. Alright, we get to play first. Okay, we got Impromptu Raid. And double Anger of the Gods, potentially. Forest and Birds of Paradise. Pass the turn. This might be one where we're just randomly flipping with Impromptu Raid and hoping to the magic gods. Misty Raid Forest, opponent cracks it. Simian Spirit Guide to get it down next turn would be sweet. Breeding Pool. And Mausoleum Wanderer. Opponent passes. We draw. Nothing. Well, Scalding Tarn, you. Opponent. Flooded Strand. Mausoleum Wanderer. Yup. Opponent gets in. 4-2. Sure. Now, Crack Scalding Tarn. Get a Steam Fence. Tapped. Untap. Play an island. And yeah, I mean, this is what we do. Namesake card time. Impromptu Raid. Does not get Mausoleum Wandered. And now we pray to the magic gods. We don't have any way to set it up at the moment. Pass the turn. On the other hand, if we just get lucky, we're in good shape. Planes for our opponent. Untaps. Supreme Phantom. All right, opponent's getting in the damage. Come on, Impromptu Raid. Come on, Impromptu Raid. Down to 11. Opponent passes. Wooded Foothills. I guess we can play Wooded Foothills. Crack Wooded Foothills. Down to 10. Thin our deck. Get a Stomping Grounds. Oh, come on. Come on. Come on. Impromptu Raid? One time? One time magic gods? It's a land. Alright. Pass the turn. We can't anger the gods because of these double Mausoleum Wanderers. So all we do is eat a Mausoleum Wanderer. Opponent. The good news is if we remain alive and with the Birds of Paradise, we can... Alright. Well, now we got a chump, which means we only get one flip? Yeah, that's not ideal. Down to 4. Yeah, double Supreme Phantom's pretty good. We get Copperlie Gorge. Well, Wooded Foothills. Crack it. Thin the deck. Come on, Emrakul on top for once. Once in our lives. Impromptu Raid? Please? 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 Land. Alright. Well, that's the bad side of Impromptu Raid. That's a tough matchup. They have so many incidental counter spells that happen to light up well with what we're doing. Yeah, alright. Ha! We were missing one extra piece to set up the top of our deck. And through the breach, not good in that matchup. Alright, against the odds time, we are playing some Impromptu Temur. And we got fast mana. And we don't have any finishers in hand. We also have through the breaches. Yeah, this hand seems reasonable. See what our opponent's up to. Marsh Flats. Cracks it. Swamp. And Thoughtseize. Well, what does our opponent take? Takes Impromptu Raid. Alright, well, I guess we're on the Through the Breach plan. Steam Vents tapped. Pass the turn. Opponent. Shambling Vents. And passes. Misty Go. Well, we have all the breaches. We just need something to go with them. Concealed Courtyard. Opponent. Lingering Souls. Well, this would be a good turn to draw an Eldrazi. That would be sweet. Okay. Good enough. Exile. Exile. Land. Breach. Ulamog. Attack. This Lingering Souls does help our opponent a lot. That saves them from having 0 board. Yeah, opponent goes to 1 land, drops to 7. We shuffle everything back in. Opponent. Concealed Courtyard. Lingering Souls returns. We draw Impromptu Raid, but we don't have the mana. Opponent. Field of Ruin. Not relevant. Opponent. Combat. Attacks. Yeah. Down to 17. Passes. Well, Scalding Tarn, crack it. Okay. Shambling Vent. Activation. We will take a Mountain. Play Impromptu Raid. And now at least we get to spin it to win it. Opponent. We don't have a way to control the top of our deck, unfortunately, but... Ooh, Anguish Unmaking. That's not ideal. Opponent gets in. Come on, good draw. We need something. Nissa. Well, Nissa's sort of something. Nissa X2. Scry with Nissa. Put on top. Put on top. Pass the turn. That land gets us to Through the Breach mana. If opponent has a land, they can kill Nissa with Shambling Vent. Opponent. Combat. Nissa. Sure. Down to 2. Thraben Inspector. Opponent's putting up the defense. Passes. Well, 0 Nissa. Put the land into play. Crack Scalding Tarn. Take an island. Nissa number 2. Keep Nissa. Scry with Nissa. Bottom. Pass the turn. We're looking for something big. Opponent. Cracks their clue. Draws a card. Yup. Untaps. Land. So they can Shambling Vents Nissa. And just hope we don't find anything. Everything at Nissa. Yeah. Down to 2. Opponent. Kaya. Okay. Ticks up. Passes. Another breach. Well, Nissa, tick up. Bottom. We need an Emrakul. Jace doesn't do it here. Pass the turn. Infinite Through the Breaches, but nothing to do with them. After they killed our Impromptu Raid, opponent land. The Kaya clock is a problem. Opponent. Thinking. Combat. Attacks. Everything at Nissa. Yeah, Nissa. Down to 1. Opponent. Takes up Kaya. Passes. Now, there's an Ulamog. Alright, well. Through the breach. Ulamog. Go to combat. Opponent's got a path. Alright. Well, we get a forest. That's why we need Emrakul. Opponent cracks down to 3. Godless Shrine. Oh, opponent has lethal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14. Well, 0 Nissa. Land. And yeah, I mean, we'll make him do it, but that's game. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Opponent kind of had it all. Anguished Unmaking. Interesting. We did fizzle for many, many turns, which is a little unfortunate. The number of cards that we saw should have given us a finisher a little bit quicker. Yeah, alright. Sure. Well, not bad. Not bad, opponent. So we will bring in 3 Anger of the Gods. Go down a Noble Hierarch, 1 Kozilek. Run it like that. Yikes! Who plays Anguish Unmaking in Modern? Alright, we're on the play. Classic Zero Lander. Alright, well, I guess we keep this, although it's not a hand I'm super happy with. Impromptu Raid to the bottom. Breeding Pool, untapped. Noble Hierarch. Pass the turn. Opponent. Windswept Teeth. Cracks it. Godless Shrine, untapped. And Inquisition, probably better known as Whiffquisition. Hand's a bit expensive for that. Nissa would be a good draw. Land would be a good draw. Simian Spirit Guide would be interesting. Alright, well. Crack Misty. Grab a Steam Vents, untapped. Simian Spirit Guide. And Impromptu Raid. And let's see what happens. I mean, we got the raid down. We got our finishers not in our hand. We don't have any way to set it up, though. We're just hoping to hit. Still, turn to Impromptu Raid. If our opponent can kill Hierarch, we can't activate, which is not great. Ooh, Windswept Teeth. Opponent. Raid O'Clock. Hopefully it's Raid O'Clock. Opponent cracks. Plains. Dawn of Hope. Alright. Well, it's definitely Raid O'Clock. Scalding Tarn. So, play Scalding Tarn. Crack Scalding Tarn. Grab an island. And, yeah, Raid O'Clock. Come on! Impromptu Raid. 7 out of 50. It's a Through the Breach. Well, good news is we milled a Through the Breach that we didn't want. Get in with Noble Hierarch, hit our opponent, pass the turn. Opponent. Godless Shrine. Tapped. Thoughtseize. Well, opponent's got options. Takes Breach. And passes. We draw land, so, well, Raid. Emrakul. Got him! Got him! Impromptu Raid! It's, oh, Raid O'Clock. Sure, that's fine. Can't path an Emrakul. Yes. Yes, yes, yes! It's so sweet when it works. Okay, that was good. That was good. Okay, run it back. Raid O'Clock. Okay, we're on the draw. Yeah, okay. This is interesting. Nissa's good. We'll keep. Thoughtseize and Inquisitions are a thing, but opponent. Marsh Flats. And passes. Misty, go. Opponent did some mulliganing. We're probably just going to Spirit Guide out Nissa next turn, I assume. Marsh Flats. Godless Shrine. Untapped. Fetidith. And Dawn of Hope. Alright, so crack Misty. Grab a Steam Vents. Opponent passes. Well, Wooded Foothills. Crack it. Forest. Simian Spirit Guide. Nissa X1. Scry. Okay. Put on top. Pass the turn. So I guess we're on the breach plan this game. The Raven Inspector. Gets a clue. Opponent. Passes. Well, 0 Nissa. Birds of Paradise. Breeding Pool tapped. Pass the turn. Well, if our opponent doesn't have a Thoughtseize or a way to kill birds, we get to breach them with Emrakul Plains. Opponent. Thinking it over. Yeah, goes to combat. Attacks Nissa. Sure. Well, we untap. Yeah, alright. Well, they survive a turn. Grab an island. Draw an Emrakul. Scry with Nissa. Put on top. Wooded Foothills. Pass the turn. Alright, opponent. You need something pretty good. Cracks the clue, draws a card. They need a Thoughtseize at least to get rid of Through the Breach. If they hit that, then the game continues for the time being. Boy, we have a Eldrazi-filled hand. Alright, there's the Thoughtseize. Well, opponent gets to stay alive. The Raven Inspector. Combat. Attacks Nissa. Sure. Down to 3. Well, we untap. We draw Anger. 0 Nissa. Put a Courser into play. Crack Wooded Foothills. Grab a Mountain. Gain a life. Opponent paths Courser. I'll take an island. And yeah, let's Nissa number 2. Keep the new one. Scry with Nissa. Alright. Put to the bottom. Put to the top. And now the Through the Breach is on our deck. So our opponent can't Thoughtseize it, and hopefully that'll do it. Opponent's at 15, which means Big Mama Emrakul, lethal, combat. We can even pay for Mana Tithe, which is always something I worry about when I shouldn't. Opponent's going to hit our face and kill Nissa. Oh, opponent. Well, you fought the good fight on the mulligan. Sadly, it's not going to be enough. Through the Breach. Emrakul. Let's get ya. Well, no raid this time, but good enough for the win. And this deck is pretty good. Impromptu Raid is sweet. Whew, sweet. All right, against the odds time, we are playing some Impromptu Temur, and all right, we're gonna keep this. We have no acceleration, but we have all of the pieces we need to make this work. Copperline Gorge, Arbor Elf. Panza. Are we getting Panza'd? Well, Stomping Grounds untapped. Noble Hierarch. Pass the turn. Opponent. Gemstone. Whoa, that's a sad Arbor Elf. I don't know if I've seen anyone play Arbor Elf and play 2 non-forests before. Sure, opponent gets in. Yeah. Okay, we'll take it. Down to 17. Well, Wooded Foothills, crack it. Grab a forest. Run out Nissa. X1. Scry with Nissa. Land. Yeah, I guess this is fine. Put on top. This lets us use Nissa as ramp next turn and make sure we can get down Impromptu Raid and then go from there. All right, there's a forest. So Arbor Elf does things now. Opponent. Oh, God. Utopia Sprawl. Well, now Arbor Elf does lots of things. On red. Blows up a land. All right. Gets in. Sure. Well, we untap. We 0 Nissa. Get a land. Play Wooded Foothills. Crack Misty. Grab an island. Crack Wooded Foothills. I think we actually have to Jace first. Get a forest. Jace. Bounce Arbor Elf. Pass the turn. There's just too high of a chance that our opponent can, like, Inferno Titan if we don't bounce Arbor Elf. Then ideally next turn we can Impromptu Raid, and the following turn, hopefully, have things set up with Nissa. Stone Rain's our island. Yep. Opponent passing. Well, play Copperline Gorge. Play Impromptu Raid. Yes. All right, let's scry with Nissa first. Bottom. And then, yeah, all right. Stay the course. Pass the turn. I mean, if our Planeswalkers live, we get to use them to set up Impromptu Raid next turn. We get to see a lot of cards. If we Jace Brainstorm into Nissa Scry, that's a lot of looks to find something for Impromptu Raid. Bone it. Arbor Elf, everyone's favorite. Every turn. Good old every turn Arbor Elf. Bone it. Uh-oh. Okay, yup. It's Arbor Elf. And Molten Rain. Alright. Well, we still have mana to activate Impromptu Raid. Courser. So first off, Nissa Scry. Oh, okay. Put on top. Impromptu Raid. Welcome Big Mama Emrakul with haste, combat, and annihilate you to 0. And that, ooh, we even get an Exalted trigger. And that is the Impromptu Raid. I mean, like modern sneak attack. Got him. All right, that went well. Okay. Well, we don't really have a ton for Ponza, but Ponza doesn't seem to have a ton for us just killing them with Impromptu Raid. I guess having all the Birds of Paradise and Noble Hierarchs help. I think we negate Spell Pierce. Go down 1 Jace, 1 Kozilek. Run it like that. That was good. That was good. That is the Impromptu Raid. Maybe Impromptu Raid is a lot better than people give it credit for. I think people have forgotten about Impromptu Raid. Especially with Nissa and Jace and Courser, there's a lot of good cards that let us see/control the top of our deck. And we don't have to play like really bad cards to make it work. I will say this one Masterpiece Through the Breach is driving me insane. That's our lucky breach. Oh, goodness. All right. We're gonna mulligan this. We really want a Birds of Paradise. This hand is much better. Through the Breach. Yeah, all right, we'll keep it. This hand potentially gives us turn 1 Birds, turn 2 Nissa. There's the Arbor Elf. Also potentially just lets our opponent blow up a land, which that's a little sadder. Breeding Pool, untapped, Birds of Paradise. Pass the turn. Bone it. Do they have a Utopia Sprawl in a forest? Mountain. All right, no forest, which means no land destruction. Defense Grid. Okay. Well, good news is we weren't planning on countering your spells, opponent. Ooh, Impromptu Raid. Well, play the island. Nissa. X1. Scry with Nissa. Bottom and... Well, I guess we keep 1 Emrakul. We have Impromptu Raid and Through the Breach, so keeping an Emrakul doesn't seem that bad. Land destruction could still be brutal. Opponent, combat. Attacks. Yup. Sure. Well, Scry with Nissa. Bottom. Misty Rainforest. Crack. I guess we should have definitely done this first. Crack Misty. Grab a Stomping Grounds. Untapped. And, yeah, I mean, Impromptu Raid? Opponent could definitely have an answer for it, but pass the turn. Opponent. We're close. We're close to the raid. Why don't people play Modern Sneak Attack? Opponent. Thinking. Yeah, not sold on this mana base if you're playing Arbor Elf. Opponent. Combat. Attacks. Yeah. Nissa. Ooh, hits us down to 14. All right. Well, untap Courser. Let's scry. Something big and bad. Well, put on bottom. Put on top. Play Courser. Wooded Foothills. Oh! Okay. Upkeep. Upkeep stops that. Alright, opponent, you know what's coming. We're 1 mana short from doing it right now. Alright. Alright. Upkeep stops so we can raid before we... before we draw Ulamog. Opponent. Done. I don't know how they get out of this. Unless they can blow up Impromptu Raid. And then the problem for our opponent is we also have Breach Emrakul in hand. Opponent, combat. Passes. Well, upkeep stops that. Impromptu Raid? Ulamog. Crack Wooded Foothills. We don't really want Noble Hierarch. Opponent's done! And that was Impromptu Raid being pretty much modern sneak attack. Maybe this card is just really busted and everyone forgot about it because we're kinda wrecking people with Impromptu Raid. Apparently, cheating Emrakul into play is good. Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed? Sweet. Oh, sweet. So what do we learn this week about Impromptu Temur in Modern? And the deck kind of crushed it. We played 7 matches because they went pretty quick, and we won 5 of them, good for a 72% match win percentage. Game-wise, we won 11 of 17, a little bit worse, 65% in terms of games. But basically, Impromptu Temur, the deck felt surprisingly effective and surprisingly good outside of Burn, which Burn was a little bit rough. In Bant Spirits, kind of just stuck it to us. So many counter spells, and then we couldn't set up our Impromptu Raids. But really, this deck, it felt pretty scary, and Impromptu Raid actually offers some really interesting upside. The biggest thing about Impromptu Raid is that you get to support it with good cards. And Nissa, very impressive. Jace, we didn't really draw many Jaces, but Jace, good as well. Nissa in specific, though, really powered up the deck, and I was very impressed with how good Nissa was, especially since we have all these mana dorks that allow us to play it on turn 2, and the deck was really consistent. And the hilarious part was, even in our losses, like our loss to Burn, it wasn't because our deck wasn't doing its thing, it was because our thing actually wasn't good enough. We would annihilate our opponent down to 0, down to like 4 life or something, because Burn doesn't take as much damage off their mana base as some decks, but we'd annihilate them, but then we would have a hard time getting in those last couple points of damage before our opponent would like draw a single land, start throwing lightning bolts at our face. So even in our bad matchups, as outside of Bant Spirits, which Bant Spirits, that just felt miserable. They have so many counter spells, it was hard for us to do anything. But even when we were losing, we were still like being consistent and doing our thing. Our thing just sometimes wasn't good enough if you couldn't function with like a single land or something. So all around, the speed of the deck is pretty high. It is up to par for modern standards. Even when we aren't impromptu raiding, Through the Breach, really scary in this deck. The Mana Dork Through the Breach plan is actually kind of effective. It's pretty easy to go like Noble Hierarch on 1, turn 2, play another Mana Dork, turn 3, Simian Spirit Guide, or you don't even need a Simian Spirit Guide. 3 lands, attack, kill your opponent. Or we have these random like double Simian Spirit Guide hands where we're just like turn 1, Birds of Paradise, turn 2, Simian Spirit Guide, Emrakul you. So the deck is very explosive, and the biggest thing is it's explosive in a way that's consistent thanks to Coursers and Nissas and Jaces, and all those cards also make Impromptu Raid a great secondary plan alongside Through the Breach. Like, Through the Breach, people know what it does in Modern. We've seen Through the Breach show up in decks in the past, but you can't just play 4 of one of those effects. You won't be consistent enough. We've seen people try Goryo's Vengeance and all that. Impromptu Raid is a worthy secondary piece alongside Through the Breach in this style deck. As our matches showed, it was really scary. We did get, I think, 1 random flip, but really, the power of the card is being able to set it up, more so than just randomly trying to flip. Although, it is nice that if you just flood out, you got nothing going on, you spend 6 mana, activate Impromptu Raid a couple of times. The odds aren't great. Maybe you're like 8% or something to hit something big, but that's an 8% shot of pretty close to literal I win the game. And even though 8% isn't high, if you flip a couple 8%ers that say you win the game, and you do that every turn, sooner or later you're going to hit and win the game. So all around, I was pretty happy with the deck, pretty impressed with the deck. It was fun, it was crazy explosive, Impromptu Raid was great, our Planeswalkers were great, Through the Breach, a great backup plan. So yeah, all around. Impromptu Temur felt surprisingly legit. So anyway, that's been our against odds for this week. Impromptu Temur for Modern. Thank you so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.